Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Adam Rapp, and I'm joined with Sandy Plunkett. And today we're going to be reviewing the art of Jose Luis Salinas in the comic strip, The Cisco Kid. Now today's a little bit different because we're not reviewing traditional comic book art, but rather comic strip art. Now, for those of you that are familiar with The Cisco Kid, it's one of the famous eternal westerns that appeared in the pages of American newspapers for over 18 years. The principle of this was about the freedom that Cisco and Pancho had as they rode through adventures in the wide open spaces of the American West. Now, as you review this art, it's important to look at some of the freest living beings in the Cisco Kids, which are the full-blooded stallions that really move and demonstrate motion throughout the strips. Now, the artist, Jose Luis Salinas, was born in 1908 and died in 1985, and he's originally from Argentina. In 1949, he moved to the US, and then in 1951 secured a job with King Features Syndicate, where he began to work on the Cisco Kid strip. Now that we've had a little bit of a background on the artist and the strip itself, I'd like to turn it over to Sandy for a little deeper dive into the art and a broader review of the work. Sandy, the floor is yours.
Hi there, guys. This is Sandy taking over from Adam, and my role in this endeavor is to examine the artists and their approach to the artwork they were doing. Jose Salinas, is not terribly well known in this country right now, and I don't think he ever really was very well known. And that's a shame because he really was one of the best to ever work within the field of comics. He had pretty much everything you needed from a single artist all combined into one. Okay. What we'll look at in particular, because we don't have a lot of time, is his use of lighting and rendering. That is not really as separated as you might think, because rendering is often used to create a sense of lighting. This is the middle panel of the last strip you looked at, and it is not particularly dramatic, and that is not a fault of the panel. Salinas was very sensitive to the needs of the plot, and if the plot at this particular moment didn't call for drama, he wouldn't put it in there. Cisco is just imparting a piece of information to Pancho. There's nothing particularly exciting happening at this moment. So the lighting isn't dramatic. It could be midday, it's ambient light. So you just have a soft shadow falling over the left side of Cisco's face. This is rendered in soft gray line. It gives a real sense of dimensionality. A lot of cartoonists, and this isn't a quibble or a fault, they work only with two dimensions. They create a line pattern that they repeat over and over again. Think of Charles Schulz's Peanuts or Al Cap's Little Abner. Cisco Kid was a more realistic strip, and to keep with that sense of realism, Salinas worked to create a sense of three-dimensionality. Now here we have an example of a face which is definitely receiving dramatic lighting. He has a pretty villainous look on his face, so we assume he's a bad guy. And to create a sense of drama, Salinas has chosen to cast a shadow over the top half of the guy's face. This shadow is being cast by the brim of the hat. The lighting here suggests that it's perhaps nighttime, and perhaps that the moon is the source of the light. Now, you could have chosen to render that shadow from the brim different ways. A lot of artists might have gone for the most extreme version, which is to turn the shadow completely black. That certainly would have saved time. Salinas was a very meticulous craftsman. And here, instead of giving you a flat black, he gives you a soft gray. I think there's a couple of reasons why he did that. One is that it allows the eyes to be seen clearly, and the eyes are part of the expression, so you get a fuller sense of what's going on in the villain's head. The other reason is that it adds a certain degree of realism if you don't use something so dramatic in terms of black and white as a solid black. Salinas here is creating a sense of tone rather than flat black. And this gives a sense of air, it gives a sense of light within the shadow, and that's much more common in nature than that flat black. Now, on the right side of the face, yes, I'm dyslexic and I sometimes have to check myself on this. On the right side of the villain's face, you have two spots of white. This is to indicate a secondary lighting source. One is, one reason he might have done that is the sheer drama of it. It creates an even stronger lighting effect, but it also helps just to make the panel more readable. If the shadow of the hat were to merge with the black of the background, you would have lost the outline. It would have been a little harder to read. By having it, those two spots, one on the forehead, one on the cheek, it helps. There's a term. It doesn't sound very artsy fartsy. It pops. You want forms to pop off the background sometimes because it lends a sense of drama. Hope you look at other things on this panel besides just the lighting, because it's very nice line work here, and much that could be said about that. But I think I will have to wrap it up here. So long until next time.